Hi, and welcome to day 4 of National Procrastination Week 2017. It's Thursday, March 9th, and I'm Nancy Morris. I'm the author of Procrastinate Now, Rethinking Time Management, which is all about what procrastination really is, what it is not, and how to use it to your benefit. Yes, your benefit, which goes against many of the common conversations that are out there that procrastination is some sort of bad thing. It's a bad habit. It's a personality flaw. As you will have gathered from the previous videos this week, I have a completely different perspective on that. So in a moment, I'm going to recap some of that perspective. And then today I want to share with you what I consider to be the number one thing that you need to walk away with this week, other than the real definition of procrastination. This is the number one activity that you can do. It's the number one thing you can do starting right now to make significant shifts around your procrastination, and also to understand yourself better so that you know what it is that's causing you to procrastinate. So get a piece of paper and a pen and get ready to write down the information from today. And also, I'd really like to remind you that I encourage you to share this information with someone else today, because the best way to learn is to teach. And so if you're reminding yourself, oh yeah, I'm going to share this information with Bob or Frank or Jane or whoever, that's going to actually help you to learn and retain what I'm telling you now. So, and plus, everybody procrastinates. And the more you can share this information with people and help them to understand what procrastination really is, that's a gift you'll be giving them. So I strongly encourage you to do that. So let's briefly recap the last few days. Procrastination is often seen to be this global avoidance of something. And as you will have learned by now, that's not true. There are very important reasons that procrastination occurs. Procrastination is, to me, your higher level of thinking telling you that something's not quite right about a task. It is your sixth sense saying, whoa, hang on here, I don't like this. And the task is causing me some sort of underlying fear and concern. So rather than procrastination being a personality problem or a bad habit, it's your intelligence telling you that something's not quite right, and you're concerned or fearful or agitated or something about the task or activity. That means that you really can leverage procrastination when you embrace this definition as a mechanism for finding out what's bothering you, the underlying problem. And then you can build the systems or structures or even change your mindset in such a way that in future you minimize that disruption. Now, I study procrastination and have done for many, many years. I've been studying the science of success for over 25 years. And I have to say that this particular information about procrastination has become some of the most important that I've shared with people. And it's because when you really understand this, when you truly embrace it, you are going to make changes in your mindset and in your daily behaviors that are sustainable, that are easy and simple to implement, and that will really carry you forward. All that being said, I understand the science of procrastination, and I still procrastinate. But the big difference is now I say, oh, look, I'm procrastinating. What's this all about? What is this underlying fear and concern that I might have? Remember, too, that what you didn't procrastinate about last week, you might procrastinate about this week. Because you're a different person, different things have gone on. Maybe you're tired today. Maybe, some old noise is playing in your head, whatever it happens to be. So these underlying fears and concerns, they are things like being worried that you're going to be judged, not only by other people, but by yourself as well. So you may delay on doing a report because you know the boss is going to look at it. Maybe you don't have a great relationship with the boss, or even if you do have a great relationship with the boss, you're worried that somebody's going to judge you. And you might judge yourself and find out that you don't really know what it is that you're doing. You don't understand it. You're not sure how to do it. It's not something you're very good at. Trust me, put algebra on my desk and it's not happening today, or, there's going to be a delay because I have to remind myself and I have to recognize that I can feel confident about this. We talked a lot about that yesterday and the various ways that these fears and concerns show up. One of the ones that I mentioned, I just want to repeat today because it's so important, is if you're being asked to do a task that you feel goes against your core values, if you feel it's going against who you think you are as a person, it's important that you recognize that. It was my exploration of this particular point specifically that opened up the whole conversation for me about procrastination, because I worked many years ago with people who had got themselves into a situation where they were, wrestling with themselves in the work that they were doing. It was work that was, a little uncomfortable for them because it was going against their core values. It was going against who they wanted to be in the world, so they weren't doing their work or they weren't performing well. So it was through that exploration that I opened up the whole basket of procrastination, the whole understanding of it being your higher level of thinking. So it's if you choose to do something that you feel is going against your core values or who you feel you are as a person, if you choose to do that, if you feel you need to do that, that's okay. I don't recommend it. I really don't. But that's okay. Keep moving forward, but understand it knowingly and recognize it knowingly. And there are strategies for dealing with that knowledge, but at least doing it with the knowledge helps you to minimize some of the disruption. So you either have that option to move ahead knowingly, or the option just not to do the task, understanding there'll be consequences to that potentially, probably not as bad as you think, but there'll be consequences. It's just that when we do things that go against our sense of integrity, we are inviting problems. So that's why I just wanted to retouch on that one again today. So on to today's information. I became aware of this tactic, strategy, mindset, skill set, whatever it is that you want to call it, quite a long time ago. And I explored for a long time, how this worked versus all the other skills that one could acquire to deal with procrastination and everything else that was out there. And through my research in business psychology and the elements of business psychology, through my own work, my own day-to-day stuff, I'm very self-aware. So, I will pay attention to what's going on with me, and also with working with my clients. I've got to tell you, I found this to be the #1 strategy. I actually now recommend this strategy to pretty much everybody I work with at the beginning of our working relationship, our one-to-one working relationship. And in terms of the presentations and workshops that I do, this one not only is the one that's most requested of me, but it is the one that I get the most feedback on, and the most feedback over time as well. So months, and even recently I got an email from someone that came to a workshop of mine back in 2015 and is still following this tactic and is still doing this exercise on a weekly basis and is still recognizing the power of it for them. So that's why I have found it to be the most important thing. And so I want to share it with you now. I'm going to tell you that it's going to sound a little strange. It could sound a little strange. Let me rephrase it. It doesn't have to. It could sound a little strange. So again, suspend your disbelief and just go with it. I'm going to share with you what the strategy is. Then I'm going to explain to you why it works. Some of you will have heard of this before, but you won't have heard the explanation of why it works, probably. So I'm going to share that with you, because then it's going to make even more sense. Okay? So grab that pen and paper, and I'm going to give you a quote from Mark Twain. And this kind of summarizes the strategy in one sentence. It's not verbatim, I'm just going to summarize it. So here we go. If the first thing that you do is eat a live frog, you can be sure it's the worst thing that's going to happen to you all day. So if every morning you eat a live frog, you can know it's going to be the worst thing that's going to happen to you all day. That is a quote from Mark Twain, who knew what he was talking about most of the time. So, we go with it as a really good analogy for the strategy. So basically, you will perhaps have heard the phrase before, eat a frog, or fear things first, or, something along those lines, which basically means do something first thing in the morning that you really don't want to do, that you're probably procrastinating about. Do it first thing in the morning. Do that thing that you fear. Do that thing that makes you uncomfortable. Do that thing that stretches you first thing in the morning. Now I'm going to explain to you why that works. But I'm going to do it by way of example of a typical day for many people. So you wake up in the morning and you think to yourself, Yeah, as you're brushing your teeth, the first thing I'm going to do when I get to the office is I'm going to work on that report. The one that's already been sitting there for 2 or 3 weeks and is potentially going to run long if you don't get working on it straight away. That one, yeah, that one. So I'm going to start working on that as soon as I get into the office. So you're making your way into the office, you're on the bus, you're walking, or you're driving into work. And then you say to yourself, okay, as soon as I do my emails and my voicemails, I'll get started on the report. That's what I'm going to do. Yep, that's what I'm going to do when I get into the office after I've dealt with the emails and the voicemails. Sure enough, you open up your email system and, oh, look, here's an email from the boss. I better take care of that straight away, right? I better take care of that. So you work on that little project from the boss and you get that done. And, oh, look, it's 9:30. I have some phone calls I need to make. So I'm going to do those first. And then I'm going to get started on that report. Oh, look, the phone calls ran long. It's now close to 11. I don't have time between now and lunch. I can't do that. So as soon as I get back from lunch, I will get started on that report. Oh, look, there's Bob. He needs my help. So on my way back from lunch, I'm going to stop at his desk and give him some help. Okay, it's 2:30 now. I got to get a hold of that client today. Oh, geez, I forgot all about that client. So I'm going to track down that client. Oh, it's coming up to 4 o'clock. I really need to leave on time tonight by 5. I don't have enough time to work on the report today. I will get started on it first thing tomorrow morning. Now, does any part of that sound familiar to you? Any part at all about how the day plays out? Sure enough, you get lots of stuff done. You deal with the requests from the boss. You make those phone calls. You help Bob out. You get a hold of the client and you do whatever you need to do with the client and move that project along. That's all great. But you leave the office at the end of the day knowing in the back of your head that that report is still sitting there. This is one of the reasons why we can do a lot during the course of the day, get to the end of the day, leave feeling dissatisfied, unfulfilled, or that we didn't get stuff done. Because that thing that you're avoiding is still sitting there. So remember, your higher level of intelligence is pinpointing something that you don't like. You have an underlying fear or concern about that report, say. Let's say you're going to be judged. Okay, I have this fear that I'm going to be judged. I don't want to be judged. I don't like being judged. Now, part of the responsibility of your brain is to act and behave in ways and to create your actions and your behaviors that keep you safe. But that also needs to keep you emotionally safe. And so the brain sets off this series of chemical reactions and all sorts of different things that are going on with like the amygdala and all sorts of other stuff. And the brain is responding. It's using its creative power in avoidance mode rather than in solution mode, because it doesn't want to have to deal with this thing over here that it's afraid of or that there's concerns about. It's just like, let's just avoid this, let's just get away from this, and let's go do something else over here. So it's been very effective and very creative in helping you to avoid the thing that you're afraid of. However, it's not that helpful, is it, when that keeps happening every single day? So by doing something that you're avoiding first thing in the morning for 15 minutes, I'm not saying, half an hour or an hour or anything like that. I'm saying 15 minutes every morning, you eat a frog. What's going to end up happening is the noise in your head around the fear and the concern will start to disappear. Your confidence will begin to grow. You will become more focused, more decisive. You will feel almost an energy to move towards these things that you're avoiding, because the confidence, as I say, will grow and you'll recognize that you can handle it. It actually doesn't even take very long for you to begin to notice the change. Usually with my clients, it's within the first week. Sure, first couple of days can be a bit of a struggle. When they identify that frog and say, okay, first thing tomorrow morning, I'm going to spend 15 minutes working on that report, or I'm going to spend 15 minutes doing cold calls, or I'm going to spend 15 minutes balancing the checkbook, whatever it happens to be. That can be a little uncomfortable for the first few days, for sure. But then, as I say, you begin to notice a change in momentum. You begin to recognize that the creative power of your brain that has been used to avoid the frog becomes useful in creating solutions. You shift the energy of your focus of creativity from avoidance to solutions, from avoidance to creativity for the good, let's call it that. simply by eating a frog for 15 minutes in the morning. I have seen amazing results from this one strategy. This is by far, as I say, the #1 strategy I give to people, because I've just seen what it does. And I get reports back all the time from people who are doing this. You know, maybe somebody's been doing it for the last couple of weeks and they're all excited about the changes that they're noticing. Maybe somebody's been doing it for a few months and they're recognizing the importance of continuing the process. This is not something you do and then stop a month from now. Now, I don't eat a frog every morning because I don't have that many left anymore. But I can guarantee you that once a week, there's something that's like, oh, no, it's not a mulling, so that's not it. It's not just a preference. No, there is an underlying fear or concern or something about this that's bothering me. And so I'm going to eat this frog for 15 minutes. It is simple. It's easy to do. It doesn't cost a dime. It changes your mindset. It changes the way that you think about things. Because what ultimately happens is you're shifting all the noise of, oh, look at you, you've left that report again, you're not so good, etc., etc. All that noise shifts. And you become much more enthusiastic about yourself. You really start having a nice conversation with yourself. But what happens when you move noise out of the way, when you move negative noise out of the way, your innate intelligence comes through. This is why I also say that eating a frog is the only time management technique I need to teach people. That's why the title of this book is Rethinking Time Management. Yes, there are tips in here, but they're not your standard tips. There's not, they're not just, oh, do it this way and do it that way. It's based on your getting into work or even in your home office or something along those lines and just eating a frog. Because you know how to manage your time. You know, generally speaking, what to do. Really you do. You do. Sure. Could you learn a new technique for something? Sure you could. But you could learn a new technique for the rest of your life and still probably not know all the techniques. What you want to do is allow your innate intelligence to help you understand, for example, after you've eaten a frog, what your priorities are today or this week or this month. How to manage the necessity of saying no to people, whether that's a colleague, a boss, a client, whatever. All these things that people tell me that they don't know how to do, get them to eat a frog, and sure enough, within a couple of weeks, they figured out how to do it because they never didn't know how to do it. They just had negative noise, an army of frogs basically in the way. If you have a big project, this is what we do. We just do what I call frog's legs. So just 15 minutes. Just 15 minutes every morning until you get into the flow of it. Every single morning, Monday to Friday, at least, if not on the weekend, because I have people who do this at home too with house cleaning. Who knew? Just 15 minutes every morning. The #1 thing to do. Don't worry about any other tip. Don't worry about any other time management strategy. Don't worry about any of that. For the next couple of weeks, just eat a frog. Now, here's how I recommend you do this. Just before you leave the office tonight, identify that thing that you don't want to do. Report, document, phone calls, whatever it is. Identify it and either take the piece of paper for what it is or write yourself a note about what it is and put it on the center of your desk. Oh dear, sorry about that. Got a bit of a frog in my throat. Sorry, bad pun, but bad cough today. Anyway, so I was about to say that what some of my clients actually do is take that piece of paper or that piece of work, whatever it happens to be, stick it on the center of the desk, and then put a frog on it. That's right. They put a little frog on it, either a nice stuffy like this or one of the little small frog, something like that, or even a bigger frog right on the center of their desk. Plastic toy frog, whatever it happens to be that works for you, and just plunk that on the center of your desk. First thing in the morning, you'll come in, you'll see the frog, you'll take care of it, you'll put it away. You'll have a sense of getting stuff done right away before you even open up your email system or before you even take some of your first steps in your workday. You will feel satisfaction. You will feel that you've completed something by simply following this one strategy. Eating a frog every morning, 15 minutes max, maybe 20. but 15, 20 minutes, absolute max, and then get on to the other priorities of the day, you will feel at the end of your day, as I said, more satisfied and fulfilled by the end of the week, more focused, more decisive, more confident. It is that simple a strategy. And as I said, what it helps you to do is move the negative noise out of your head. Certain things become a lot clearer, such as what to do next. What are these different time management things I could do? They become clearer because they are coming from your innate intelligence. Also, how this helps you to understand procrastination is, as I've said in a previous video, the fundamental tenet of my business is this: the more you know about yourself, what you're thinking, what you're feeling, and how your brain works, the more likely it is that you can make the choices and decisions you need to create the success you want, whether that's at home, at work, however you choose to define it. What happens when you're eating a frog every morning is that it becomes clear to you what your fears and concerns are. It becomes clear to you what you need to be doing. There are all sorts of different things you could do, but you want to move negative noise out of the way so that your innate intelligence can tell you exactly what you need to do next. And that's precisely what will happen. And let me put something else to you here. Eat a frog every morning for 15 minutes for the next 2 weeks. And if this stuff doesn't start happening for you, call me. Call me and we'll work it out. And no charge, because I guarantee you it will. If you just give yourself 15 minutes every morning to eat a frog, in other words, do that thing that you don't really want to do, or do something that you don't really want to do, then you do that for 2 weeks and this stuff isn't happening for you, call me, because we'll work it out. I guarantee you it will, but if it doesn't, give me a call. On tomorrow's video, what I want to do is wrap up the whole week. Plus, I also want to share with you how you can use this information as a boss, a manager, a business owner, or even somebody who just wants to influence another person. How you can use this information about how your brain is working around procrastination, how your brain is working to help other people as well. And how you can use it to create an environment, whether that's at work or at home, of camaraderie, of mutual achievement, where we're moving towards goals together, and of mutual understanding between people. So I'm going to share with you tomorrow how to do that. I'm also going to share with you how you're going to be able to get your hands on a free copy of this book. You can get one right now. It's the downloadable version one at my website, nancymorris.com. Or tomorrow I'll share with you how you can get an actual paperback or hardback copy for free from me. My gift to you. So take the information that you've learned today about eating a frog, just 15 minutes every morning. Share that information with somebody else. Explain to them why it works, because ultimately it moves the negative noise out of your head and allows your innate intelligence to come through. You're procrastinating because something is creating a fear or concern. It's not a bad habit. It's not a personality flaw, but something is creating a fear or concern. Eating a frog will help you to understand those fears and concerns even more. And it will change the perspective of many of them as well. It's really that simple. Annoyingly, for many people, it's really that simple. It does not have to be a huge, complicated system, or, you don't have to understand all the ins and outs of the science of your brain right now. Just this one little tip. Do it for 2 weeks, starting tomorrow, before you leave work today. Identify that thing that you're going to spend 15 minutes on tomorrow morning. Put it on the center of your desk, either with a little frog like this guy, or just right on the center of your desk. It doesn't matter. I invite you to do that. I encourage you to do that, and I even challenge you to do that. And tomorrow we're going to recap the whole week. As I said, I'll explain to you how to use this as a boss, manager, business owner, somebody who wants to influence another, and how you can get a copy of my book as well. Have a great day. Enjoy your day. Make it fun, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Thanks very much.